Hi, this is Janet Diane Mourglia-Swerdlow for Expansions.com, bringing you another edition of News with Janet. I'm happy to tell you that there have been a lot of activities that have gone on in the world, and there are a lot of trends that I want to be sure that you are on top of and aware, so we're just going to get right in and I'm going to tell you all these things. Hope you have your pencils out if you're taking notes and your listening ears on. Because the first story we're going to talk about is the astral imprinting that keeps going on out there, and I tell you it's going to keep increasing, and they are using absolutely every avenue to do this. The latest one is a result of the tragic shootings in Toulouse, France, believe it or not, where a woman is scheduled to marry a dead man. Now, I don't know if you saw this story or not, but I thought this was extremely interesting. The pregnant girl of a French soldier killed in a dramatic gun rampage will wed her partner posthumously, a family lawyer said this past Saturday. Apparently, the paratrooper who was shot dead earlier this month as a result of the shootings in Toulouse has been decided that his girlfriend will wed him posthumously. Such ceremonies are unusual but not unheard of in France, where the law allows posthumous marriages in cases where a fiancé dies before the wedding. The law states that such weddings can only be approved by the French president in, get this, grave circumstances. I've already had it done twice for policemen's girlfriends, said the lawyer in a telephone interview. It's really a moving ceremony with an empty chair representing the dead spouse. There won't be any problems, the attorney added, saying that he hopes the ceremony will, quote, let the child have a father. I don't think so. So, astral imprinting. And one more for you. In the UK, BBC reporter Matt Denzico shared a video story about the family of a deceased man whose friends and family are receiving emails from his old email account with information that is known only to the sender and the recipient. So continue to notice that there will be increasingly more stories on the dead. In fact, today there was a story of an Irish pub in Seattle, Washington, where there were people looking for the dead. It used to be a mortuary. So you're going to find more and more in mainstream news about astral activity, because this is keeping you imprinted and opening you up to New World religion. President Barack Obama appoints Yong Kim, a South Korean and current president of Dartmouth College, as head of the World Bank. Now, I found this especially interesting as well, or intriguing, because his appointment all but guarantees that Kim, who's a 52-year-old physician and pioneer in treating HIV and AIDS and tuberculosis in the developing world, will take over at the helm of the World Bank. Because even though he was born in South Korea, he says that he will extend a tradition of American presidents dating back to the organization's founding in 1944. I'm not exactly sure how that extends an American president's tradition, but for a South Korean, but here we go. The World Bank's 25-member executive board will officially select a new president next month. But given that the U.S., as the world's largest economy, has the largest percentage of the votes, Kim is expected to prevail. Now, in my mind, why would they appoint a physician and pioneer in health treatment to run the World Bank? I found that intriguing. But I will also tell you, I also was looking at the names, because the new North Korean president's name is Kim Jong, I guess, I don't know how they say it, Kim Jong-un. And here we have an appointment from a South Korean who is Yong Kim. Now, these frequencies piggyback upon each other, the same as we saw Osama bin Laden and Barack Obama. Osama Obama. Who ever heard of those names until all of a sudden here they are in our faces over the 9/11 incident and a president? I found that very interesting. It's kind of like good cop, bad cop, and we have the same thing going on here with North Korea, South Korea. So you're going to have to pay attention, because things are going to happen between these two specific leaders. You will just wait and find out. Now, speaking of piggybacking name frequencies, you all know what Viagra is. I'm sure you get those pesky emails all the time in your spam and junk boxes. Viagra is a pill that supposedly helps men with ED or erectile dysfunction. Now, another actress who is becoming more and more prominent, and perhaps because you see more movies than I do, you've heard of her more often, Sofia Vergara, which to me is like Viagra. And I said in my notes here, perhaps she's the new form of Viagra for all I know, because she has just signed up to star in a movie with Sharon Stone. They play bisexual lovers and eventually have a menage a trois with John Turturro's gigolo character. Turturro directs and plays the gigolo, and Woody Allen co-stars as his pimp. And according to the article, it says Woody Allen in a movie means a lot of laughs. Something tells me this movie is going to do real well. Who doesn't want to see Sofia making out with another woman? So here we go. Again, this used to be pornography. Now we're having this on mainstream movies. I don't know what kind of rating this thing is going to get, but they're putting out more and more about group sex. It's funny. You know, we're going to get together with our friends. We're going to enjoy it. It's kind of like the Hunger Games movie that just came out. You know, we're going to get together with our friends. We're going to wear the clothing. We're promoting humans hunting humans. Now we're going to promote menage a trois. It's going to be a fun thing that we do, you know, with our neighbors and friends. It's no longer relegated to hardcore porn on the internet or behind closed doors, so to speak, or God knows where. So keep your eyes open on that as well. Now I want to take you also, I'm sorry to say, back to the very sad story of the shooting of Trayvon Martin, who was the unfortunate black child who was gunned down here recently by a man claiming to be the head of a neighborhood watch. I'm sure you've all heard by now Geraldo Rivera saying that the reason he was shot was because he was wearing a hoodie. He maintains that the hoodie was to blame for Trayvon's death. He denied that he was blaming the victim and called it common sense for minorities to avoid wearing hoodies. He said that he was reminding minority parents of the risk that comes with being a kid of color in America. And then he goes on to say, quote, "I'll bet you money if he didn't have that hoodie on, that nutty neighborhood watch guy wouldn't have responded in that violent and aggressive way," unquote. So to me, this is such a silly comment, but you have to remember, nothing goes on television, nothing goes in the media without the approval of the global handlers. Something's going on with the hoodies. My boys wear hoodies, so everybody I know in this area wears hoodies. That's just a popular clothing trend. It has nothing to do with race, but they're trying to divide us. Don't let that happen to you. In fact, there have been articles about parents now telling their children about how if you're a child of color, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. Well, you know what? I have a teenage son, and I tell my children, because you're a teenager, because you're male, they're going to be watching you much more than myself, who is a mother and a female. So you have to be careful what you do, where you put your hands, what you touch. So it has nothing to do with color. It happens to do with just what they do with teenage children. They're trying to divide us, divide and conquer. Don't let that happen to us. Back to more flesh stories. Nokia is introducing a vibrating tattoo, and how many young people are going to say, wow, how cool is that? Let me be the first one. You have to remember, they eventually want you to line up for that microchip, but let's start. We're used to the tattoos now. Now we're going to get them to shake, rattle, and roll. They are filing for a patent that says the apparatus would be able to detect a magnetic field and transfer a perceivable stimulus to the users. The device will notify people about an incoming call, text, or dead battery. It can take a variety of different forms, including a visible tattoo, a label, or a badge that could be set to emit different vibration patterns, much like customized ringtones, to distinguish between different callers according to the specific report that I have. So again, I'm telling you what's going on, but you can already see the trend, and that's what we're here to show you, is see how bit by bit they enter into your specific frequency. Bit by bit they enter into society's frequency, and they make all of these things, by the time they get their goal accomplished, to seem absolutely perfectly legitimate. And then you wake up one day and you say, how did I get here? Well, this is how. Pay attention to what's going on. For example, the next story I want to tell you, may have missed it, it was very small, but I happened to find this here a couple of days ago, that they are in the process of redefining some U.S. borders. Now, how can they do that, you might ask? Well, you want to remember, Stewart and I have told you for many years that eventually the U.S. is going to be split into parts. So this is the beginning. They are putting this out and they are setting a precedent. What is happening right now is there is an issue with the border of North and South Carolina. It says only 93 properties are affected, but of those 93 properties, these owners are going to find themselves in another state, and this means a bureaucratic nightmare for them. The state line determines what schools their children go to, what area code their phone numbers are, who provides them with gas and electricity. Small utility cooperatives in South Carolina are banned from extending their services across the state lines. Now, this is key as far as I'm concerned about who even controls the United States. Why are they doing this? That is the question I want to ask. And it says in the article that this happens to go back to the King of England, who sent surveyors to draw a boundary line between the two Carolinas in 1735. And according to the article, the boundaries between the two Carolinas have been in debate ever since 1735. So why are they bringing that up now? Why do we care what the King of England decided about the U.S. back in 1735? It says this all should have been done decades ago. And here we are. However, don't worry, because it says the survey work isn't finished. After they deal with this specific community, the team that is doing the work is preparing to draw the rest of the state line all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. But fewer problems are expected because the area is more rural. Now, how amazing is that? Something that happened in 1735 by the King of England is now becoming utilized as a law here in the U.S. at this point in time and space. Does not make sense to me, except for the fact that they are telling you who's really controlling things, and they are preparing you, making inroads for things to come. There is also a bill in Tennessee that just passed, which allows anti-evolutionists to teach about creationism. Again, why do they keep bringing that up? Because they are preparing you, as we wrote about in True Blood, Blue Blood, that the human species is really an alien creation. So when they talk about creationism, they're really closer to the truth than what they want to admit, and they want you to keep that in your mind, because eventually they will make that leap, and you will find out exactly what we wrote about in True Blood, Blue Blood is very much true. And along that same line, the military, have you heard about this? March 31st is happening, called Rock Beyond Belief, because there are atheists in the military that will stage a public festival. And again, here we have North Carolina. It seems to be very popular. They will stage a public festival and rock concert celebrating their lack of religious beliefs at North Carolina's Fort Bragg, one of the largest U.S. military bases. The event is believed to be the first of its kind to highlight free thought, atheism, humanism, and skepticism on a U.S. military base. And we need this because, why? I'll tell you why. Because, again, they're preparing you for New World religion. They're working on wiping the slate clean so that they can bring in something else for you. Now, we talked about the World Bank. Let's talk about something closely related, a DNA bank. New York became the first all-crimes DNA state in the nation Monday after the governor signed into law a bill requiring anyone convicted of a felony or penal law misdemeanor to provide a sample for the state's DNA base. Now, we know they're already doing this, now they're making it public. The bill has drawn criticism from civil rights groups who see the measure as misdirected. Well, you know what? It's already happening, now they're telling you about it. So nobody's going to object to keeping an eye on the criminals. Next phase could be you. The last time I told you about the news, I told you about the Jurassic Park Zoo that was coming into being. Now we learn that Russia and South Korean scientists have teamed up to recreate a woolly mammoth, which is, of course, a prehistoric creature that last walked the earth some 4,500 years ago. The team's aim is to get to work on thawed remains of the extinct mammal recovered after global warming thawed Siberia's permafrost. That is, if you want to say that global warming exists. The mammoth's tissues are to be cloned by using eggs taken from a modern Indian elephant, and once the tissues have undergone a nuclear transfer process, the eggs will be implanted into the womb of a live elephant. So, cloning, and I have talked to you about that as well, as far as fertility treatments and twins and all these celebrities that are having several different children all at the same time. And what we are finding out, as I've told you many times before, is the twins and multiple births that are becoming more prevalent are getting you ready for cloned humans. So when you see a lot of the same type of people walking around, it won't be any big surprise or shock to your system. Okay, we used to have such colors as tan and beige. Now we don't have tan and beige anymore. We only have nude. Now, on top of that, we don't have crop tops. We have something called bralettes. So we keep advancing, or I should say, are we degrading to see where we can go, who can wear the least amount of clothes and be the most undressed, but without quite being totally naked. But don't worry, that will happen too, so you will not be disappointed. And moving right along here. This I found. Again, interesting. That's all I can have to say when I get into reading the news and putting the lines together. Because I've told many of you for many years about Scott Westerfeld's book series called The Pretties and the Uglies. This is a great read. It is a teen novel of another reality, but it talks about, in my opinion, an extremely very accurate profile of what's planned for humanity. So if you haven't read the book, series, The Pretties by Scott Westerfeld, I suggest you do so. Because this reminded me of the book when I saw this article. Did you know that Brazil has more than 220 clinics that give poor people free Botox treatments, laser hair removal, chemical peels, and anti-cellulite treatments, among other medical spa type of treatments? The founder says that, quote, beauty is a right and the poor deserve to be ravishing too. Now this is in a country where it has very huge poverty situations. Now, that's what the founder says. I say that these poor people are being experimented on for things to come. After all, the poor can't sue, they'll never be heard from if an issue happens, and what a great way to collect data from an unsuspecting, vulnerable population that doesn't know it's being experimented on. So keep your eyes open and read Scott Westerfeld's book. And last but certainly not least, space tourism. Who hasn't heard by now of Demi Moore's ex-husband, Ashton Kutcher, who was the recipient of a special gift from her before the divorce, a $200,000 ride from Virgin Galactic Spaceship 2, which expects to begin flights in 2013. Well, the FAA is now saying that within 1 decade, that's only 10 years, that space tourism will become a billion-dollar industry. Now, obviously, they're planning this, and they have been for a long time, because in 1 decade, in 10 years, you don't go from a nothing dollar per year industry to a $1 billion per year industry without a lot of pre-planning. So a lot of things are happening for you. We keep telling you the most interesting things that we can. We're showing you the trends. We want you to spot the trends. And even though it may seem that some of it gets a little bit old, I want you to continue to watch how they're making these inroads and these advancements into your frequency. And do your protection work, keep up that brown merger symbol, do everything that you know to do so that you are not a participant in these schemes. Do not add to what's going on in humanity. And I thank all of you who are supporting us with your membership, because expansions.com is proud to support you in every way that we possibly can. For only $8 per month, you have access to amazing articles and interaction with Stewart and I. For $23 a month, which is our silver membership, you can ask all the questions that you want. I see a lot of the questions coming through on YouTube, and unfortunately, we just don't have the time to answer them all. But when you are a member and you are on our site and you are helping us out by giving us your $23 per month, that's less than $1 per day, you can ask all the questions that you want, and we read absolutely every single one of them, and we answer as many as we can. You also get our deprogramming journal, which you definitely need. You get over 100 affirmations almost every month. You get our blogs, you get our articles. So expansions.com welcomes your financial support, because that's what helps us grow so that we can continue to give back to you. We want to get more of our DVDs online. We have a lot of pay-per-view things up already, but we want to do more. We want to continue to get our services more affordable to you. So please support us with your membership dollars. And this April, we have a fabulous seminar coming up, our annual health seminar, This one is called Death, Disease, Detox, and Determination. We're going to show you and discuss with you how to beat these odds so that you stay happy and you stay healthy and you live a life that you dream of. We want you to stop living your excuses and we want you to start living your dreams. Expansions.com. Join me there every day on the membership site because we have posts in there that are waiting for you, and I look forward to seeing you in April at our annual Health Spring Seminar. Take care, be well, be happy, and do what you can to not participate in the nets that are being laid for the global masses. Bye-bye.